Hello, everyone. I am here with Ray, and I am Maria Kliavkoff from the Mourning Institute, and this is Ray Matsumiya. Did I say it right?
That's correct.
Yay! Oh, I'm used to just calling him Ray. So, Ray Matsumiya from the Oleander Initiative, and together our two organizations are coming together, but more importantly, the two of us are coming together to co-facilitate a very special tour of a very special city. So I'm going to hand this over to Ray to explain a little bit of the background and what we're proposing. Go ahead, Ray.
Thanks, Maria. Well, the special city that Maria is talking about is Hiroshima, which is known as the city of peace. And I personally have a very close connection to the city. I live in Boston in America, but my relatives are all my ancestors are from Hiroshima, including my grandfather. My grandfather was the chief of the volunteer fire department in a village outside of Hiroshima on August 6th, 1945. So within hours of the bomb dropping, he rushed in with his men on his fire truck to help the people there. And I just can't imagine the horror that he saw in the city that he loved. He was there for 3 days on where 65% of all the buildings were destroyed, where 140,000 people were killed. And he was there treating the people there with horrible radiation burns and terrible sicknesses and black rain and many, many horrors that I can't even imagine. He lost many relatives there, he lost many friends there. And for many years, he had a hard time talking about it. But what was amazing about him is that when he had finally processed everything that had happened to him and his city and the people that he loved, he came up with this amazing conclusion, which is that mankind needs peace. And he really devoted himself to peace. He told his family, he told all his friends and neighbors on his ethos in life was to promote peace. And he thought it was a responsibility of every single human being, whether it was me or you or anyone, to make sure what happened to his city would never happen again. On
Ray,
he,
I
yes,
want to say this picture that we're looking at right now, and I want to make sure that you can see it.
yes, we
Okay.
can.
This picture of devastation speaks to me of Hiroshima and of course what your grandfather experienced, but also what the grief journey brings up. Because when we're fresh in our grief, it's this level of devastation that every individual experiences. But what's so special about the city of Hiroshima is it teaches us by what they did, by what your grandfather did, by what every individual did, about how to convert this level of grief into a profound peace.
And that really is what is amazing about Hiroshima is that it wasn't just my grandfather. It was really a mentality that was shared by so many survivors of the bomb. I think one example is this amazing group of three women. If you don't mind bringing up that picture.
Yeah.
So the woman on the left was a victim of the atomic bomb. She was about, I think, 12 or 13 when the bomb dropped. She was a student nurse, and she came to the same conclusion that my grandfather did, where it was the duty of every single person to promote peace. And generationally, she transmitted that to her daughter, who is the woman on the right. And the woman on the right, she started her own peace NGO in Hiroshima, and now her daughter, who you can see in the middle, will be taking over that NGO when the time comes. And that is a very common thing in Japan and in Hiroshima, where this the suffering got transformed into a need for peace, but got transmitted through generations, and that included me. It went from my grandfather to my mother, who grew up in Hiroshima, but then moved to Boston. She had me, and she passed on the same lessons to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's so beautiful to me about this is when we talk about ancestral grief, grief travels if it's not handled in an individual generation. But what's been handed down here is the culture of peace, because the grandmother's generation handled the grief really well and converted their grief to mourning. So this whole
Mm.
city and the story of the city is a blueprint for how we can deal with our own ancestral grief and come to this profound peace place. And I think now we need this more than ever.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So now you know a little bit of a background on Hiroshima, the city, and that is something that we'll very much delve into in the program. So I can tell you now a little bit about what would actually happen in the program itself.
absolutely. What I want everybody to focus on though is the stories. These three ladies' stories, the stories of Ray's grandfather, Ray's story as the descendant. Hiroshima, the city itself, has a story to tell, and its story teaches us how to handle our own stories and how to create a safe environment where those stories might come forward. So, what we're going to share with you are the places that we're going to visit, but what we're going to be doing in these places is allowing the magic of Hiroshima to call forward any buried and carried grief we may have so that we may clear it and find that peaceful path for ourselves as well. So this is a very interactive program we're talking about. It's
Yeah.
not just visiting historical sites, right, Bray?
Oh, exactly. And you know, I think really our main like North Star in understanding this journey from grief to mourning to peace are these people called the hibakusha. And the hibakusha in Japanese means atomic bomb affected victims. And this is a woman that was on Time magazine that told her story. And what was amazing about this Time magazine article was that they interviewed many hibakusha, or victims of the atomic bomb, and they had a near universal message in that their fondest wish was for there to be peace on the planet. And that is amazing that so many people who had so much loss reacted in that way. And I have to remind you that, you know, the Hibakusha now, the average age is around 85 or 86 years old. So they're really a precious resource whose words will not be with us for that much longer. So I have to, and one of the reasons why we're doing these types of programs is to make sure that people get to experience face to face the wisdom of their words. And I think that is really the most amazing part of our program. We know many of the hibakusha in Hiroshima. You know, it's not just that they'll tell us their stories. We'll eat lunch with them. We'll get to know them as people. And it's really like a wonderful, like intimate setting to really understand their wisdom. And I think that's one of the highlights of the program.
I love that you say they're a precious resource and how honored I feel to be co-facilitating this, to be able to be in their presence and to hear their words straight from them. I can't even imagine. That to me right there is life transforming.
Yeah, and it's just the sincerity that they have in peace that is just so moving. On Well, in addition to meeting the hibakusha, you know, we'll do a lot of the things that Hiroshima is known for. One of the highlights is the Peace Memorial Museum, and it is a museum that really just moves you. There's a lot of personal effects of people that were impacted by the bomb. But surprisingly, there's also a very optimistic tone in the museum as well. And I think that really encapsulates a lot of on what Hiroshima is about. There was this horrible thing that happened on over 80 years ago, but it's also mixed in with optimism because what resulted from that bomb and that horror was this devotion to peace. And the museum really articulates that well.
I'm looking forward to being in that space and seeing these faces. That's a big part of it too.
We'll also go to places like the Peace Park. It is really just in the center of Hiroshima. It is beautiful. It is serene. There are always children going through there. Um, yeah, it's really the heart of the city. And you know, it's not just the mainstream things you see that most visitors see, like the museum or the park. You know, we've been there for almost 10 years now, so we try to show parts of Hiroshima that no one ever sees, that our program participants only see because you know all our staff members live in Hiroshima. They know all the very detailed, special things that most visitors don't see. And I think one of the things that I find very interesting is this little tour we do of the trees of Hiroshima that were impacted by the atomic bomb. They're called Hibaku Jomoku trees, and these are trees that were there on August 6th, 1945. Many of them didn't survive, but some of them did. And what's amazing about these trees is that one, you can see the impact of the bomb from the trees. The root structure of all these trees is completely different from one side to the other. So you can actually see which side the atomic blast came from. But I think what moves me the most is what the people of Hiroshima did with these trees. They've spent so much effort making sure that these trees continue surviving. Many of them are wrapped up in ropes. Some of them are held by stilts. And every year, the city spends a large amount of money to make sure that there's a whole army of gardeners that go out and make sure that these trees are thriving and okay. And I find that to be such an emotional part of this program that such effort is made to make sure that these trees not only survive but flourish. And I think that really captures a lot of the ethos of Hiroshima.
And the symbol of that is so significant because when we are grieving, part of what we're doing in the grief journey, the way I teach it, is we're moving from the physical to a relationship that goes beyond the physical. But sometimes having that physical symbol that connects us is everything. And that's actually gives us a focal point for the mourning. So just to clarify for people, grief is the internal response to loss. Mourning is the external expression. So places like the park and this tree, it gives us a place to go to really let the grief come forward, surface, release, and then we feel relief off of that. And what the people of Hiroshima are so brilliant about are creating these monuments that allow for a safe space for mourning.
Mary, I think that is such a great point because, we've done, I think, maybe over 20 of these programs now for people all over the world. And sometimes people are just kind of numb after they go to the museum or where they see all these pictures of horror and people being burned and things. But a lot of times, like these trees are an entry point for them to express their feelings. And there's so many times where a participant will go and just touch the tree and just touch the tree, and then everything will come out. Like all the things that they've experienced over the last couple of days will come out in such a healthy, natural way. And I think it's interesting that you know that they could be a conduit for all this because it's absolutely true.
Yeah. It just becomes a safe space where we can convert our
Hmm.
grief to mourning. And the journey, the pathway to profound peace is to allow the grief to surface and to mourn it. And so to be in an environment that is designed, because the Healthy Mourning Institute, I am all about creating compassionate grief communities worldwide. But this is a community of people who did it as part of their mourning journey.
Yeah.
And it's astonishing to me.
So like during this journey on one of the things we really consciously try to do is to try to have like a mix of emotions that are light and heavy and everything in between. So of course some of the parts are very heavy with the museum and even with the hibakusha, their stories are really heavy, but there's also an element of optimism and levity and fun because a lot of the hibakusha are really funny. They're funny people and they're so amazing. And there's a lot of laughter at the lunches and a lot of things like that. So on with all this Hiroshima content, and we've only touched on the tip of the iceberg in this presentation. We also include a lot of cultural things. Of course, we will try on sushi if you have and some of the regional Hiroshima dishes like okonomiyaki, which is absolutely delicious. We do a visit to Miyajima, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's an island right off the coast of Hiroshima that is absolutely gorgeous. And we go to something called the Kagura performance, and this is a very specific regional theater dance play that we will go to at this program. So there's really a mix of everything in the program. So it's not just a focus on Hiroshima itself. There's also a lot of traditional Hiroshima culture that you will learn. And related to that is a whole origami workshop, which I think will be another great way to express some of the inner feelings. Our program director helps the participants fold origami cranes, and origami cranes are the symbol of peace in Hiroshima. So there's a lot of cultural things mixed in too. So it's really a journey that brings you from high to low to emotional to not emotional to almost crying to laughing, and I think that is the beauty of Hiroshima, is this complexity of feelings that all come together at the same time.
And that is the grief journey, right? The grief journey is not a straight line,
Mm,
even though we're talking about a pathway. It goes all over the place. And that this is a city that, in the story of the city, we find the complexities that lead to the peace and that
exactly.
profound peace. And what's remarkable about it is then the desire, when you found that profound peace, you kind of want to call from the rooftops, right? And
Mm.
so it really is about not only going through this journey ourselves, but finding what we're going to bring home from this journey.
That's right. And you talked about profound peace, and there's no place on earth like Hiroshima when it comes to peace. Like, I do feel that profound peace that Maria talks about whenever I do one of my programs in Hiroshima. But when I come back to the United States, I'm always shocked to understand that America is not about all that about peace all the time. There's war memorials, there's planes flying over, or Super Bowls and everything else like that. But Hiroshima is the exact opposite of that. It's something that I call mainstream peace, where peace is part of every single part of of Hiroshimans' lives. So just as a few examples, like this is the Peace Boulevard. This is the main road that goes through Hiroshima and is called Peace Boulevard. It's named after peace. The main park is called Peace Park. The main museum is called Peace Museum. There are on peace cafes and peace restaurants, and there's even a peace nail salon. So they've commercialized peace, and like every single place you go to in Hiroshima is celebrating peace in some way, and it goes right down to the people. It's legally mandated that every single level of education in public schools, from nursery school to high school, must have a peace education curriculum. So it's not just that visually the Hiroshima talks about peace; they want their people to be peace loving as well. Politicians get their power from their peace platform, which is unbelievable to me. And it's just such an incredible place where peace is celebrated, and I just don't think that there's anywhere else in the world that will inspire you to promote peace in your own community. And that is one of the purposes of this program.
Yeah. Well, I am hoping that there will be a bunch of people who will be interested in joining us on this very special and very sacred journey. Um, what I love about what we're looking to do together is this is our first time doing it. So we're going to learn a lot as well. We're only taking about 14 capped 16 tops, right? So it's
Yeah, at the
a lot
most.
of people that we're taking, which allows for that quiet reflection time, small group interaction. We're going to have access to the university and rooms that we can be in,
That's
right?
right. Yes.
So that we'll have our private quiet time with it, and then planning moving out as we come back. What does reentry into our world look like, and what do we want to bring back? What kind of projects might we want to create for our communities and beyond? How can we be peace builders based on the profound peace that we find in this time together?
Yeah, I mean, I do want to emphasize that this is not a tour. The purpose of this isn't to go see some pretty things and experience something. Like it really is. We wanted to activate something within you that helps you promote peace in your communities. And I think that's why on this fit with Rotary makes a lot of sense. Is that we're here to serve the community, but this will give you another tool to do that in the lens of peace. And we've had a few Rotary programs already, and they've always been very successful. So I'm looking for another one too.
Yeah, well, I think this is just going to be brilliant. In the description of this video, you will have a link to me. I can send you, we've got this lovely handy dandy two-pager that tells you more about us individually, what the plan is. We will be doing this tour in October of 2026. We don't
Yes.
have specific dates selected yet, but we're working on that. And And depending on the number of people we have, then the price will include, and actually I have on this sheet of paper, um, all program housing, meals, transportation within Hiroshima, honorariums and cultural events are included in the program fee. Program participants are responsible for travel to and from Hiroshima. And I think that's just going to be incredible that all of that is taken care of.
Yes.
So as we get more information, we will forward that information. Right now, because it is limited to 14 to 16 people, I am collecting the names of the people who know that they're interested and know that they want this information as soon as it comes out. And you can email me at Maria@healthymourning, MOURNING.com. That will again be in the description of this video. Ray, thank you so much for taking this time.
No, thank you, Maria. This is going to be just amazing. And especially the angle that you're taking on for this program is just going to be special. So thank you.
Yeah, I can't wait. Thanks so much. We'll see you in Hiroshima.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.